Welcome back to the podcast there, Chad. We've done a couple of episodes with you now, and we lost one episode, right, due to some technical difficulties. But this is what I would call our part 2 of Prairie Fire. But we ended part 1 talking about hospitality and in the hotel industry.
Yeah.
And, so I figured we could just kind of break off right from there. What do you think, RP?
Yeah, it's great. And then really special for us is we got to come out to this exceptional facility out here at Prairie Fire. And now we're on location doing a podcast.
Yeah,
this is our first on location podcast with Mr. C. Brown.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for coming out here. It means a lot to us.
Thanks for having us, man.
Absolutely.
It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
What a wild place we're at right now. You know, it's we got to have a little bit of fun before we jumped on, and I just want to come back already. I know we're here right now, but I want to come back again.
I know I'm already checking my calendar to book some more time, man.
There you go.
This place is absolutely incredible out here, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Stuff,
yeah.
Right. I want to kind of roll back to where we finished off with and where you were. I think you were just moving into Virgin hotels, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so talk to us a little bit about that before we get into this crazy, awesome establishment.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about out here, but we'll wrap up a little bit about what we were talking about on the last episode and really going back in my career and through hospitality and where I was at the end of that show. I think, there was a little 1-year stint I did in the financial industry working with the Brennan entities and Dollar Loan Center and doing a lot of work with Dollar Loan Center Arena when it was still Dollar Loan Center Arena and expanding that project into Idaho and Oklahoma, doing a lot with their sponsorships with VGK and all the other sponsorships they had in town. It was very interesting, but I learned that the financial industry wasn't necessarily for me. I was giving something new a shot coming out of 22 years in hospitality. But
did that start to wear you down being in hospitality for that amount of time? And I know that
it did a little bit. And, I jumped over Virgin there for just a second to talk about hospitality, but coming out of MGM Resorts, when I got a phone call. When I left MGM Resorts, I was not going to go back into hospitality. I wanted to do something different. I was talking to iHeartRadio. I was talking to professional bull riders. I was talking to a couple other folks outside of hospitality in the sporting world and entertainment world. And I got a phone call from Gary Scott, who worked at Hard Rock. He was the GM there for many years and worked at MGM Resorts for a while. Okay. And Mary Giuliano had joined the company and she actually hired me into MGM Resorts back in 2004. So they gave me a shout and said, "Hey, we have a VP of marketing position open here." And I said, I'm not really thinking about hospitality. And she said, "No, you got to come talk to us. This is different." And got over there and was waiting for Gary Scott to have an interview with him. And this gentleman walks out. This is a funny story. I want to tell it.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I'm sitting in the chair and I knew Gary, not real well, but I knew him. And this older gentleman walks out and he's just dressed in a sharp pinstripe suit and well-spoken. He walks in and he goes, "Hey, Gary's on a call right now. Why don't you come back and talk to me for a few minutes?" And I thought, okay, this has got to be the casino guy, right? I've been in the business long enough.
Right.
The casino guys are always sharp dressed. They're always well polished. They're player development, right? So I walked back there and he's telling me about the project they have going on at Hard Rock and the conversion into Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. And, we have a great conversation and he's explaining to me the business model, which is different from anything anybody else has done in the city with a multi-operator program, if you will, where we had our management company was Hilton Hotels. Our licensed brand was Virgin Hotels. Mohegan Sun was the very first Native American gaming operator to operate in the Strip corridor. They were our casino operator
with Mohegan Sun, and I think just touching a little bit on his subject there with Otherwise.
Yeah,
they were like one of the best, most incredible hotels to work with when you're performing there
over on the East Coast,
right?
Yeah.
We got to play there a handful of times now.
Cool.
They were
treat us like
highest paying, right?
Yeah.
They'd also give you like $200 gift card. Like you're staying at our hotel, you're playing tomorrow night. Go spend $200 on us in our stores.
That's
in
cool.
Our mall.
So good, man.
Right?
Yeah.
I can imagine a gaming credit because I want you on the casino floor so guests can come over and do the selfies and say hi. People get excited, right? At Virgin, we had celebrities on the floor all the time. But retail credit's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was fun. They would set us up rooms and then it was $250 food credit and wherever you want to go to the nice restaurants. And then the next day it would refill.
Nice.
Okay, we're staying here for
That's a
3
cool
days,
Yeah.
and you guys are paying us. So Mohegan Sun is a great company to work with. So
And they were a great partner with us. They were our casino operator. They leased the casino floor.
yeah,
Then we had AEG Presents that ran the old joint theater, which became the theater at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas.
right.
And then we had about 5 or 6 very well-known restaurant operators that came on and opened up the restaurants we had on property.
Yeah.
So in essence, what we would say is we had 5 key operators, if you will, managing the property. And the ownership team was JC Hospitality. That's the company that bought the hotel and we're converting it to Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. So this gentleman.
So where does that, how does that correlate to Sir Richard Branson and Virgin and JC Hospitality? Where do those two ends meet together? That's what I could never understand. Like,
and that
where does one start and one finish?
That was actually partially intentional.
Okay.
And so Sir Richard had an ownership stake in the property. He was an investor.
Okay.
But that's the extent of it. And then the licensing deal we had with their brand.
Okay.
So the media picked up on that right away and said, oh, Sir Richard Branson's opening a new property in Las Vegas. He's the owner. And we let it go. JC Hospitality was not a public facing brand. It's a brand that owns real estate and manages real estate on the back end and then brings in the right operators to operate that product. So we never corrected anybody. But JC Hospitality was the owner of the property. Sir Richard was an investor. We did have a licensing deal with their brand to have that the flagship brand of the property. And so
Virgin's paying for the name on the building. Boom.
JC Hospitality is paying for the name Virgin on the building. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we followed their brand standards as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a very intricate process. Working with all these world-class operators. You had Hilton managing a property that was branded Virgin and had Virgin customer service standards.
And that was the HRH side of things, right? Because you had HRH.
Well,
and
HRH
maybe I'm a little bit
wasn't Hilton.
past tense.
Yeah,
Okay.
So HRH was part of the Hard Rock brand.
Right. Okay. I thought it was still managed by Hilton at that time, but I could be wrong.
No,
Okay.
Hilton came in after we bought the property and had our deal with Hilton to be the management. So you had a Hilton brand company, second largest hospitality company in the world, managing a property under a different brand. So you can start seeing where there's some interesting things going on, right? Then you have Mohegan Sun managing or leasing the casino floor and basically managing their own product. And they went out with their own brand campaign, Mohegan Sun Casino, which we had to clean up. That caused some brand confusion, and it became Mohegan Sun Casino at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Just a little short name, but so there were a lot of things we were doing for the first time.
Is it still that way now?
No, there have been quite a few changes over the last about year and a half.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what's been finalized, so I don't want to put anything out there that hasn't been signed or inked, but a lot of those things have changed or are changing.
Yeah.
But it was new. Nobody done that before. And there were some major advantages to JC Hospitality by doing a multi-operator program there. There were some major challenges as well. And so as a brand marketer like myself, my job at that property was to herd all the major international brands together and say, we're all going to move in this direction. So through their distribution channels, nobody's going to undercut the other with offers to your loyalty program. They all have to match. We're not going to go out with Mohegan Sun branding versus Hilton branding versus Virgin branding. That was very difficult because these are powerhouse brands, right?
Zoom calls.
Well, for the most part, everybody was very collaborative.
Yeah.
And it was my job as the owner, the representation of ownership, to step in and kind of say, thank you.
Hey.
I appreciate where you're coming from. Here's what we're going to do. And here's the why behind it, right? If you don't buy into it, let's go have a sidebar conversation and figure it out.
So are you you're pulling in all that information from all these different entities and you're saying, okay, let me compile all this information together. This is your wants. This is your needs, blah, blah, blah. And now here is what I'm going to try and
that's exactly what it was. And my time at MGM really prepped me for something like that, because when I left MGM Resorts, I was the vice president of marketing operations for U.S. properties. And what that really means is I rolled out corporate level marketing programs across all of the individual brands of hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going to roll out a consistent branded program, Uber is a great example. We launched a very lucrative exclusive deal as our rideshare partner with Uber. So that meant we had to build custom rideshare pickup and drop off zones. We had to do custom Uber promotions to our guests. It all had to be the same across all properties, regardless of the property's individual brand. So that's where I stepped in. And my role at corporate was to roll out these programs. Mobile check-in was consistent across all properties. It was an MGM Resorts branded product.
Looking at the Uber, right?
Yeah.
what would a company like Uber pay MGM Resorts to be the rideshare exclusive brand?
What I can tell you at the time is it was a lot of money, and what I can tell, what I can share
figures,
with you,
not six.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I can tell you is MGM Grand at the time that I was there, this was a while ago, was the #1 drop off and pickup spot in the world. MGM Grand.
Wow.
For rideshare.
Okay.
There were no other locations that had more cars picking up and dropping off than MGM Grand.
So if you didn't know who Uber was then, you knew if you stayed at that hotel.
Well, any of our MGM Resorts properties, they were all, and I mean, when I say we branded the pickup and drop off zones, we branded them. I mean, we wrapped the columns, we did custom seating out there. All the signage on property led you to the Uber pickup and drop off zone.
That's something that MGM pays for, or is that something that Uber pays for?
Well, when you have deals like that, typically there are marketing funds included in the sponsorship deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the company will use those marketing funds to fund things like redoing the wayfinding signage on the property, printing collateral that goes in the check presenter at check-in. So you get a complimentary $20 off your first ride with Uber voucher when you check in, stuff like that. Right. So typically, and that's even with sporting sponsorships that I've done in the past, there's usually a marketing funds portion of that deal. And you use those marketing funds to fund things like that. So neither company is expected to come out of pocket for those kind of things, if you will. But we're kind of digressing a little bit. But I think that time at MGM Resorts, dealing with all these major mega resorts and their leadership teams to roll out marketing programs, prepped me for the chaos of working with 5 major international brands on one property, right? And getting them all to move in the right direction. There's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of collaboration, but at the end of the day, ownership has the say, right? Now, nobody's going to go against their brand standards, but we were able to work through all that. Some of it was a little harder to get through than others. I don't want to say they were heated. There were, but
you win some, you're losing some, you're give and take.
Yeah. And I think the most important lesson I learned when I was rolling out these programs with MGM Resorts was if I got pushback on the rollout of a program, I would always go back and say, well, what is it about? It's kind of the old sales pitch, right? What is it about it that you have a concern about? Well, we're losing our brand identity, our individual brand identity. I would say, well, what is your idea to incorporate your brand identity into this program that we're rolling out, knowing it's an MGM Resorts program? And sometimes they'd have really good ideas. And I would say, you know what? I can flex on that one a little bit. I can add your brand in that particular area to give it its uniqueness of rolling out at your property. Yeah. Or maybe what we'll do is we'll customize the email campaign announcing it for each property and not just have one MGM Resorts blast that goes out. So there was some compromise there. So I did the same thing with them. There were some things that we couldn't negotiate. They just were what they were going to be.
Yeah.
And there was some leeway there. So if somebody had an idea or I could come up with an alternative solution, both parties walked away feeling like, you know, it was a win-win. And I don't really like to use win-win, but it was equitable for both parties.
Right.
So Virgin was really, I mean, we could spend a whole podcast talking about Virgin. Not only did we transition from Hard Rock, which Hard Rock was a 25-year iconic brand.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the folks who were hardcore Hard Rock fans and their pushback. But we closed during COVID, had to reopen during COVID at 50% occupancy. That meant no bar stools at the bars. That meant plastic between every machine. Jeez. That meant the restaurants had to be 50% shut down, so every other table couldn't be occupied.
What was the big reason why Hard Rock took their name off that building?
Well, Hard Rock was really interesting because you know the Seminoles, the Seminole tribe owns the Hard Rock brand, and 25 years ago, I'm totally drawing a blank here, Peter. I've got our owner of this property here confused right now, purchased the property and purchased the rights from the Seminoles to have the Hard Rock brand, Hard Rock Casino in Nevada.
Yeah.
So the Seminoles couldn't come in and open another Hard Rock in the state of Nevada. The rights were already owned. Okay. And so.
Is this the gentleman who committed suicide? Is that the same?
No. He was president of the property.
Okay. All right.
You know who I'm talking about. It's the guy who originally opened the Hard Rock. I'm drawing a complete blank now. Peter.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, Peter Morton.
Peter Morton.
Why the heck I blanked on that? I'll tell you what. But it was brilliant. He bought the rights to the Hard Rock Casino name for Las Vegas and for Nevada. So for 25 years, that had been bought and sold a few times. But the Seminoles were absolutely scratching to get into Las Vegas. They want to be in Las Vegas. And as you know, they bought the Mirage, is becoming the Hard Rock. So when JC Hospitality bought the property, they had the option to keep it Hard Rock if they wanted to. But the feeling was that Hard Rock had a 25-year run, spectacular run. And the property wasn't doing bad, but there was just a feeling that there was something new to bring to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
right?
It needed something new.
That's Las Vegas. We reinvent ourselves every 5 years. That's the success of the, well, it's also the reason people say we're not cultured, but we renew ourselves every 5 years. And so when something gets a little old and stale, we redo the whole thing. Right. So there was a opportunity to work with Sir Richard Branson to bring this brand new vertical of Virgin brand to the hospitality industry. That's very attractive, right? Everything they do well. Now I know he's had some failures as well, but overall the Virgin brand is a spectacular brand to work with. I was very blessed to have an opportunity to work with the Virgin brand. So the owners decided when they bought the Hard Rock, it was time for a facelift. It was time for something new. And Richard Bosworth, who I started to tell you about, the casino guy, I thought was the casino guy who pulled me into his office,
sharp dressed,
told me what was going on.
Right.
Well, I went in and I ended up leaving that meeting and going in to talk to Gary. And Gary Scott and I talked for like 2 hours and never even talked about work. It was all nostalgia and our MGM days and everything. And I left there and I got in the parking garage and I called my wife and I said, yeah, I met with Gary. I met this other guy, Richard Bosworth. He was really interesting. You know, he had a lot of interesting things to say because I still wasn't sold on whether or not I wanted to go back into hospitality.
Yeah.
And I said, hold on a minute. I bring up my phone and I Google Richard Bosworth. I'm like, okay, I just met with the owner of JC Hospitality. He's the president and CEO. I probably should have known that. This guy owned Hooters.
Probably should have known that walking into this interview, right?
He owned Hooters Hotel and turned that, sold that to Oyo. And he's been involved in hospitality forever, has had some major brands under his belt, major brands.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, probably would have been good to know that before I walked into his office, right?
But you walked in, I'm assuming like, I'm likely not taking this job.
I didn't quite have that attitude, but I didn't have the when can I start kind of attitude, right? I was feeling it out.
Yeah.
And ultimately I ended up taking the job. I was very intrigued with this multi-operator program that they had there. I was very intrigued to work with the Virgin brand. And I ultimately became really good friends with Richard Bosworth. He goes by Boz, so I call him Boz.
Okay.
That's what he prefers to go by. And we actually became really good family friends. His wife and my wife are great friends. We went to their wedding. I've been around for both his kids' births. Just a legitimately amazing man. Someone you can actually learn a ton from. And you know what they say, when you want to aspire to something, you surround yourself with those kind of people, right?
Definitely.
He's been extremely successful. He's very smart. And he's just a good person to be around. And he led that property in a way that I could look up to. And I've worked for a lot of strong leaders, but he was very genuine. He was very much a people person. And we talked about this a little bit before the show. One of the things that really impressed me, he was talking to me about how they were going to close Hard Rock. They had given the employees a year notice that they were going to close for construction.
Yeah.
What he offered them, he said, if you'll stay with me until the very last day, because you guys know when you close something in Las Vegas, everybody jumps right away. They're out looking for other jobs. Why wouldn't they? They should.
Exactly.
But he said, if you'll stay with me until the last day, I've got a bonus for you. And it was a very healthy bonus. He said, you can pool as much vacation as you can in this time, and I'll put no limits on the amount of vacation you can earn, and I'll pay you out for that vacation at the end. So no limits on vacation, and we'll pay you out for it. And the kicker was, if you stayed until the very last day, you were guaranteed your job back at your seniority without an interview when we reopened a year later.
And it was a year, right? It was
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, well, that was the schedule. The schedule was to be closed for 1 year. Okay. We were closed a little longer. COVID created some challenges for us from a logistics perspective.
Oh yeah.
But we opened not too much after that, and it had more to do with the city reopening than it did us being ready.
Sure.
We couldn't open if the city wasn't open, and we couldn't open at 25% occupancy because we'd lose a ridiculous amount of money every day, and you can't operate a business that way.
Yeah. Well, we did complete filming of all the reopening of the convention center and everything, and I think it was 3 months after that, or maybe April or May area. We opened for, I think the first show was World of Concrete for the convention center. Yep. So yeah. So it was.
They're in a similar boat.
That was definitely led by the city more than anything else.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, Virgin was awesome, and there's so much more we could talk about with them. I loved my time there. I spent 3.5 years there as a CMO. Took the job as the vice president. True to their word, we had a negotiation. And true to their word, they came back to me and promoted me to CMO within a year, which was great because that's what I was trying to strive for. And had a great run there. Enjoyed it. Loved the people there tremendously. But made a decision that I needed to try something outside of hospitality. As much as that was an ownership role to manage operators, I was managing the property.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. I was managing the brand for the property, did the brand for it, shot 2 national television commercials for them, relaunched the website for them, which is awesome. That's the stuff I love doing. That's what I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing hospitality, and I love hospitality. It was fun. But ultimately, closing a property, COVID happening, reopening with 50% occupancy, shooting these commercials, not only during COVID, but when I didn't have a property to show, the challenges were insane, but I learned a ton. A ton. I wouldn't trade the experiences for anything.
Sure.
But it was time to try something different. It really was. So that's when I jumped into the financial industry. Chuck Brennan was a friend of mine and asked me to come over and help him out, do these particular things. And it sounded intriguing to me. So I thought I got to give it a shot. I haven't done anything else but hospitality by that time. I think I was pushing 24, 25 years in hospitality.
Right.
So I did that for a year, accomplished some amazing things with them. But ultimately the financial world is not for me. It just isn't. And you don't know that until you go experience it, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't for me. I don't know if I got used to the chaos. And it's funny, John, a lot of people ask me, do you miss it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because not a lot of people can cut it that long in Las Vegas in casino.
Right.
Because it's 24 hours. Guys, there's no locks on the doors. Literally no locks on the doors.
Yeah.
It doesn't close ever.
Right. Except for COVID.
Well, COVID was crazy. And I don't, you could
So
have,
he said, I told him they'll never shut this city down.
I'd have bet you $1 million that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so incredibly mind blowing to me being in the industry that could happen. The only other time we closed a property is when Monte Carlo caught fire.
Yeah.
And I was at Bellagio at the time. And we shifted all those people over to Bellagio. And I remember the president, Anton Nicodemus at the time, is a brand new president of the property. And he was with the vice president of security as they were evacuating folks. And nobody was injured, thank God. No injuries or anything. But they were evacuating the property. And Anton said, "Where's the keys to the door?" And the VP of security said, "Anton, there's no locks on the door. There are no keys." So I had to board the doors up, while they renovated the property. But it was time to try something different. Yeah,
I'm not sure we need these at all.
It's pretty interesting. But Virgin was an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. The financial industry was awesome. I did some really cool things and had some really great accomplishments, but ultimately I missed the chaos of hospitality. But it's also the reason I left. The chaos is why I left, but the chaos is what I miss the most, as weird as that sounds.
It's hard. I know, being in the trade show industry, it's like, even with COVID happening and everything, and our industry shut down for almost 18 months, I was kind of like, I was in some health situations too, but I was like, I need something to do. I need something to do, because we're 24 hours a day too, right? Yeah. We're 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Clients always calling. Shows are either getting set up over the weekend or they're going on during the week, and everything that happens in between with trade shows. So, it's definitely, I know, I feel you. And I guess that's what brings us to this.
Yeah.
That's what brings us to this property.
How do you go from all that
to Prairie Fire, today? Right? How do you go? How do you go from all that to this? Talk to us about what this is. Where are we? What is this place?
So let's get a quick overview of Prairie Fire, right? Because when I first heard it, I was like, Prairie what?
Yeah.
I have been a supporter of the Second Amendment. I own firearms. I don't shoot a lot, but my wife and I like to shoot. We do have concealed carry permits. We're responsible gun owners. We have the safes, the locks. We do all the things you're supposed to do as a responsible gun owner. And
we're a ditto. We are a ditto to that too. My family's a ditto to that. We're not shooting every day. We're not, crazy about firearms. We have firearms. We like to do it every once in a while. It's a fun thing to do, and it keeps us busy on a weekend,
Yeah, it's and being prior military, I'm very familiar with firearms. I'm comfortable around them. I do think if you own a gun, you should own one responsibly. That's my personal belief. But Prairie Fire is a 550 acre outdoor sporting complex. And I tell you what,
550 acres, right? That wasn't a mistake.
That was not. It's very large and expansive. We are located about 25 miles outside of Pahrump, closer to Vegas. So we're not quite in Pahrump. We are considered in the city of Pahrump.
Yeah.
But when you came out here today, you might have noticed that right before you came into the gate, you saw the Clark County, Nye County line there. So we're just right on the other side of Clark County. So we are, we do specialize in shooting. We do have training courses out here. We train everything from fundamental, somebody who's never picked up a firearm before in their life. We provide training to them if they want to experience it, if they're thinking about buying a firearm, if they want to know the safety and do it the right way, they can come out for that training. We offer everything in between, all the way up to the most advanced and skilled shooters that are competition shooters, that are government employees. So we've got some of the best led coaches in the world out here. They're specialty trained, all of them. We sent them to specialized training, the most recent training about a year ago. And so training is a really important part of what we do out here, because we have in our logo, you probably see the triangle with the eagle. We call that the triad. Yeah. And this is important, that out at Prairie Fire, when you want to know what is Prairie Fire, what is it all about? We're about our triad. And what that means is we believe in 3 key things. Number 1, we believe the fundamentals matter. That no matter what you do in life, if you're going to be the best at what you do, you master the fundamentals. It doesn't matter what it is. That's a computer engineer. That's a professional athlete. It doesn't matter what it is, military. You master the fundamentals and you go back over and over and over again until you have those fundamentals mastered. And right when you think you have them mastered, you go back and do them again.
Do it again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we firmly believe in the fundamentals. And we believe in that because we think the fundamentals allow you to do gunslinger challenges. And those gunslinger challenges are really fun special operations and special forces and inspired experiences that you can do out here. So the training portion is all about the fundamentals, right? Then we have these experiences, and these are all inspired by special operations and special forces tactics, if you will, that they perform out in the field. Now, it's not exact, it's inspired by. So we have we have quite a few folks out here, as we've talked about, that were involved in special operations and special forces and the Olympics, that have come out and helped us create these courses, if you will, these experiences where anybody open to the public can come out here and do these really fun shooting experiences. So I'll give you one example, and we'll dive into these more. Okay. We have an experience out here called Gunslinger Canyon. And Gunslinger Canyon is a 4-station shooting experience that goes through a canyon, and it alternates between 9mm pistol and 9mm JP Enterprise carbine. And you're shooting targets everywhere from 15 yards all the way out to 95 yards. And you're running through this canyon from station to station in a timed environment, shooting these targets that are laid inside the side of the canyon, right? And they're steel light up targets. A lot of feedback when you're shooting. Shooters love that kind of feedback, right?
Yeah. So Aaron took us out to this area to show us what was going on. And Aaron also has a plaque on the board there. So if you do really well in these events, there's a bronze, silver, platinum, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and
unobtainium.
Unobtainium. Because it's damn near unobtainable. These times live on forever. So if you come out and you beat one of those times, your name goes up. Your name's up there until someone beats your time. And actually, as you saw on there's a list of names. So when your name makes that list of that time, it stays up there. Yeah. So it's not easy though, guys. These guys are shooting times they're pros, right? Yeah. So
they gave us a run for our money out there today.
They did. We saw,
and maybe we should just break off, and maybe we'll just show a little bit of that. Show a little bit of our experience now, and then we can come back on the other side and talk about it.
Absolutely. So we did a little bit of the fundamentals with you guys, and then we did a little bit of the challenges as well, the experiences. So you can see some of that now.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm in a sweet spot. I'm feeling good. The sun is shining. I knew it would. The world's a playground.
What's up, everybody? Ryan Patrick, Johnny Biz, Chad Brown. We are here, the Ain't Done Yet podcast, and we're at Prairie Fire. We're going to have some fun today. You guys are in for a treat.
Come on, man. Let's get back there. Let's go.
Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out.
Like you get up on the leaderboard. BZ is 55.90 seconds. So we did this in late June, which was like 110 degrees that day. Woo! So
You're burning. You want to get done.
I'm
So
waiting
you
for
get
like
under this
November.
cover, huh? Yeah.
Waiting for November to get it.
Right.
Not a race, John. I see you over there.
Yeah.
Not a race yet. It will be. Newbie.
I'm a man on a mission. With purpose, I'm driven. I keep my eyes upon the light.
I like time. You want to do time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Many as you can get on target as quickly as you can do.
Mission. The battle's never done until the war is won. I'm a man on a mission.
Dude, that was badass, man.
Good time, boys?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Good?
dude.
All right.
wow.
Man.
Thanks,
Torn up?
man. Appreciate that so much,
Hey,
man.
thanks for coming out,
Dude,
boys.
hell yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it. I'm glad you had a good time shooting. But we ain't done yet. We got to do the podcast. Let's
Oh,
get
dude,
inside
that's
and
right.
finish
We
it
better
up.
go finish that
All
up.
right.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't tell you how much of a blast we had out there with all of this stuff, man. I mean, walk us through some of the stuff that we just killed it on out there, and then tell us about all the expansions, because we took a nice drive around on the way back as you headed back ahead of us, and saw all the master plans that are
good
going
deal.
together.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we did what would typically be an experience that you would get if you came out here for one of our gunslinger challenges. So any level, by the way, any skill level can come out here and do these things. Now, your progression through these depends on your skill level, but anybody can do it. Somebody who's never picked up a firearm,
You can do team building experiences.
absolutely.
out
And
here, right?
that's the
With
third part of
your
the
company.
triad, by the way,
Okay.
is going beyond the gun. We
Yep.
talked a little bit about this earlier on leaders never arrive.
Yeah.
And that's part of going beyond the gun. And that has much more to do with your professional leadership, your team building, your camaraderie with other people. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about coming here and overcoming challenges maybe you thought you couldn't,
Yeah.
and then leaving here feeling almost exhausted, like you accomplished something today. And you feel like you accomplished something when you leave this property, because you're doing some really cool stuff, as you saw in some of the footage we just saw. But
Absolutely.
that's representative of almost a typical experience. When you book an experience with us, whether it be the Gunslinger Canyon, the 1 mile shot, the Freedom Night Shoot, 5-stand, globe clays that we do at night. Typically what we'll do, or any of our pistol challenges, typically what we'll do is we'll bring you out on campus. We do morning and afternoon sessions. We can do 2 hour, 4 hour. We can do all day. We can do multi-day, depending on what kind of package you're looking for. But what we'll do is we'll bring you out. We'll bring you into our welcome center, we'll get you signed in, get you comfortable, tell you what's going to go on for the day. And then our coaches will come meet you. And the coaches will bring you out to the range, depending on what experience you're going to do. Today, we did a lot of pistol.
Yeah.
So what they did is they bring you out and they give you some coaching. It's about safety first, safety. And so you get the safety brief. They'll come out and they'll teach you the basics, and they'll basically assess how advanced your skill set is.
Yeah.
So we'll shoot paper targets from 5 yards away. You guys saw that today, and we did that.
Yep.
And really what they're doing is they're giving you pointers. They're making sure you understand the safety of a firearm. Always point down range. Always assume it's loaded. Finger off the trigger. All the different things that you guys heard today.
I've been shooting for a while, and I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I've never been, I guess professionally trained. I mean, I have my concealed weapons permit, got that through Brandon Burns, who is an exceptional teacher too, but never really trained on a firearm. And then just going through that process for the short amount of time that we did with your guys today.
Yeah, Tyler and Aaron, you could tell how well versed they are, because they made the slightest adjustments. We shot just a few times and they're like, hey, just move your hand up just a little bit forward. And then I'm hitting
Lean
that.
into it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're hitting everything.
Yeah.
Right?
And, for me, I believe in caring, and I want my family protected. I want people to be able to protect themselves, but I don't shoot. I don't practice it. And so pulling up to I'm nervous, I'm like, oh man, guns, gun. But really, as soon as we started working with them and started shooting, it was like this empowering, like release of like stress and worry, and then just dialing in and really feeling empowered, honestly.
Yeah. That's the whole idea, right? It's overcoming challenges. It's realizing that the stigma behind, a gun.
Yeah.
If you're safe and you're responsible about it, it's completely different. And you feel that when you come out here.
Yeah.
The whole idea in that session when you first come out, and by the way, that wasn't a training course. That was just a warm up for doing a challenge. Two different things. Right. A training course, you would have spent 1 or 2 days in the training course, and you would have got a lot more instruction on that, right? You'd have sent a lot more rounds downrange as well through that instruction. That was really meant to be a warm up to be able to do the challenge that we did. And so those guys, their goal is to, number one, keep you safe. Number one, make sure you're safe. Number two, make sure you feel comfortable and confident holding that firearm, right? Because they want you to have fun when you get to the challenge. If you're not doing the basics right and you're not comfortable and you don't feel confident with the firearm in your hand, they're going to stay there with you and coach you up. They want you to feel that before you move on and have fun doing the challenge, like we did shooting those pepper poppers and some of the other stuff we did. So that's an example of a experience you book out here. So people can come out and they can book. That's our Charlie range out there that we experienced, and you can come out and you can book the pepper poppers. You can book the facade wall stuff, right? But they're going to bring you out, and the very first thing they're going to do is give you a safety briefing. Yeah. They're going to shoot 5 yards off the paper target. Make sure you're doing all the things right with the firearm, that you're being safe with it, that you're comfortable and confident with it. And when they feel that you've reached where you need to be to move on to the next level, they'll move you on. If you're more skilled, they're going to move you on sooner. If you need a little bit more time, that's perfectly fine. They'll stay as long as they need to give you the time you need to be comfortable.
Is there any certification that's happening in that process, or
in that particular process? There is not. We do CCW out here, so we do have CCW class, and we're also planning on having certifications for our training for you to move on to the next level of training. Right now, we don't. We actually, if you book, let's say you book a developmental, which is after the fundamental. There's fundamental, developmental, applied, and you call and say, I want to book the developmental. We'll have a conversation with you to understand your experience with firearms and everything, and make sure that's the right class for you. If you're like, no, I've never picked a firearm up before in my life, we'll say, well, we think it'd be best if you came out and did the fundamental first, and here's why, and here's what you're going to learn. Here's what you're going to accomplish and achieve by taking this course. Then you come back and do the developmental, which is more things about coming out of the holster and more advanced, right? Yeah. And then the applied courses, which, as we talked about earlier, are the much more skilled advanced courses on learning red dot and transition and all that kind of stuff.
Well, even Tyler was mentioning to us, that they also train folks that might be doing competitions to understand how the competition works, right? Yeah. So that they can walk through that process and not be nervous about going to the competition because they don't know all the steps and all the rules and everything else. So they can help even a seasoned vet who's doing competitions master those processes.
Absolutely. Right? I've never been in a shooting competition before other than military, but that's completely different, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't know what to do if I showed up for a competition. I wouldn't understand, do I have to check my firearm in? How many rounds do I bring? Is there a certification process? Do I need to show any credentials? Where do I go? How are the stages set up? Yeah. So it's really an introductory that helps you understand when you show up what to expect. It just gives you a comfort level that it's okay when you show up. I think we talked about this a little bit when we were down on the range. My son does fencing. And I remember 3 years ago, we went to his first national fencing competition, and I didn't know what to do. We showed up, and, thank goodness the folks kind of embrace you in the sport. Yeah. Like, hey, you have to go get his glove inspected. They have to actually stamp it because they'll check it right before. If it doesn't have the stamp, he's disqualified. Wow. They got to check helmets. There's different stuff that you have to do before you get your assignments, right? On where to go and how to do it. But you don't know what
you don't know.
Didn't know, right? So we offer training course out here that is to learn how to enter a competition. What happens when you go in a competition? What skill set should you prepare to master or work on to be prepared to do well in the competition, right? So we've got courses like that. We have all ladies courses. We have a whole ladies program out here that is ladies only. It's taught by Laney Barnes, our 3-time Olympian in the biathlon. She's also the current world shotgun champion and the current NRA women's pistol champion.
That's awesome.
She is one of the most dynamic women I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And she's got a whole program for ladies only courses that involve shooting, competition preparation, but she also does non-lethal training. She does flashlight training. So we have a house here on campus that she'll go and she'll black out the house and she'll teach ladies what to do if there's an intruder and you don't want to use lethal force.
It's a beautiful house, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I could live there.
Yeah. What's the rent on that spot?
Hey, listen, we do rent it out. Not rental, like I'm going to rent your house,
Like
but
an Airbnb.
it does sleep 10.
Okay.
And we do have parties of groups that come out, whether it's for executive training or small groups that come out for bachelor parties or whatever. They will stay the night because we do night shooting out here as well.
Okay.
And so they'll come out and do some night activities leading into the next day, or if they're doing leadership training or any corporate business that comes out, they have the ability to use the house as well.
Great.
I can imagine that this is such a great place if you're running a business or you have a team that you want the bonds to just strengthen, come out here to Prairie Fire.
It's great for team building. And again, we're a shooting complex. We're not ashamed of that, but there's so much more out here. You know, you were talking about what is Prairie Fire, and I said an outdoor sporting complex. I didn't say shooting complex.
Yeah,
I said
saw the full
complex.
fitness facility.
We have an outdoor gym.
Yeah.
We've got a full outdoor gym, a little bit of CrossFit action going on out there, free weights, obstacle courses. We have the 4-story high ropes and rappel course. It's the only level 3 ropes and rappel course on the West Coast. The Nevada Search and Rescue
I'm assuming that
team,
level 3 means that I can't do it. Right?
You can listen, I've been to the top. I've rang the bell on the plank.
Okay.
I've done some cool stuff up there.
Yeah.
But it is challenging. And then there's a free climb course as well that there's no possible way I could do it. It's insane. But we have
so
people who come
again,
out
from a beginner level all the way up to expert
we've
level,
got youth,
you've got it.
We have youth programs that come out here and they do the first level of the ropes course. And we've got, I forget the name of the bridge. There's a technical term for it. But we've got that bridge you go across over 100 feet up over the canyon. It's all safety. You're connected to harness and all that.
Yeah, you get a harness on that.
But anything from youth coming out for youth programs.
I saw
we do
the
over
ropes
summer.
that were hanging down with the knot. And I'm like, what happens if you swing off those and you fall off? I'm like, oh,
you're fully harnessed.
Yeah.
Again, everything we do out here
Safety.
starts with safety, everything.
Right.
But, we have a 14-point archery course out here as well. And we have youth shooting stations and adult shooting stations. And of those 14, they wind through 3 different canyons, and every one of them have 3D animal and paper target. So hunters love it because it's natural terrain. And we've done the best we can to not disturb the terrain as much as possible to create the pathways to get from one station to the next. Really cool. And we do night shooting out there as well.
So you could confidently say that there's no place like this in America. Or maybe even
the folks
world.
who established this was formerly Front Sight. Front Sight, we acquired the business back in December of 22. The ownership company did, and then became Prairie Fire in January of 23. And they sent the leadership group out. I wasn't with the company at the time, but the leadership group went out to some of the most renowned shooting complexes in the United States. And they found a place that offered this special operations inspired experiences, if you will, but on a very small scale. And that inspired what they wanted this place to become. They really wanted to be the Disneyland of shooting, if you will. And what I mean by that is not the kitschy type of Disneyland, but the fact that Disneyland was the very first theme park. Before Disneyland, there were fairs, there were carnivals, there were, there was nothing
Circuses,
like what Disneyland built before Disneyland. They changed the entire path of what these parks became. And so we want to do the same thing out here. We want to become the shooting experience and this outdoor experience that's never been done before.
The Disneyland of shooting experiences, right?
It really, I'll tell you what,
that's how I felt here. The only thing that I missed seeing was like Mickey Mouse and Goofy, but everything else was there.
Well, we have aside from the training, we train on pistol, we train on carbine, we train on precision rifle, and we also have some introductory classes for shotgun because we do have 5-stand, we do have a sporting clays course as well.
Yeah,
and we're building some other shotgun experiences out here. So from a training perspective, that's where we focus most of our efforts on, aside from the ladies and the youth programs.
Yeah.
From the experience side, we have some really freaking cool experiences out here. So you saw Gunslinger Canyon.
Yeah.
We have a couple of Gunslinger Canyons, by the way, that are completely different experiences. Gunslinger Canyon 2 is more, it's tactical maneuvering between 2 people. A lot of communication is used. That's mainly reserved for military and law enforcement, but we do some some courses out there as well.
So you're training professional level too.
We are.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, you have to be a certain skill level before you can shoot Gunslinger Canyon too, because it's a lot more complex. We've got a 1 mile shot. To my knowledge, and this might have changed, but we were one of only 3 locations in the United States that shoot 1 mile shot on natural terrain. Everything we do out here, we try to do on natural terrain. It's not just flat bays. Now, we do have the flat bays for training, but a lot of our experiences are all built into natural terrain. So we have the 1 mile shot. I mentioned already, we have the Freedom Night shoot. That's the 5 stand at night with the glow clays and the black light, which is really cool. We do a giant bonfire. I can't wait to see that. It's a really cool experience. It looks like aliens exploding. It's really neat. Yeah. You know, we've got the archery course. We have the sporting clays course, which we're building a new one right now. So we'll have a new sporting clays course coming up soon.
I've never shot sporting clays before. Is that a difficult thing to learn, or is it something that you?
No, it's sporting. You know what 5 stand is? It's 5 stands, shotgun with the clays coming from different directions on different stations, right?
Yeah.
So sporting clay, it's almost like golf. You're moving from tee box to tee box. And when you move from one tee box, you get up to it, and there's clays that come from different directions on that tee box. So the first station for our sporting clays, the clays come from the top of the canyon down at you. You go to the next one and they come up over your right shoulder. You go to the next one and they're shooting across the canyon. So you move from station to station and you get timed and scored from station to station. Yeah. And you move through about 18 of those, very similar. It's kind of like golf. You know, you've got your side by side instead of your golf cart, and they're all outfitted. So all your shotgun and everything are mounted in there properly when you move from station to station. But we're building some other experiences as well. We do have long range royalty, which is a shorter version precision rifle, and then long range royalty in 1 mile. We have an experience out here we call the Ultimate Gunslinger Challenge. And you come out and you get your coaching established on the C range. And then you do Gunslinger Canyon, and then you do 5 stand, and then you do the 1 mile shot. We've got another program that we're building right now that we should have done here soon. And you'll come out and you'll run Gunslinger Canyon, and then you shoot from a side-by-side, a moving side-by-side through a canyon, which will be really friggin' cool.
On the go.
And then you do long-range royalty, the 1 mile shot, if you will. So we've got a lot of different experiences. We can customize all of those. There's a lot of different things to do out here, as we've been talking about. It's a large complex. We're not done. We have a lot of building going on. You saw over in the C range, the experience we shot this morning. We're creating that experience with carbine. So we're building, I believe it's 10 new bays that are 50-meter bays. So we can do carbine similar to what we did with the pistol this morning, which would be really cool. And there's actually a transition course that you move from carbine to pistol. So you're going further out to closer range and then further out again. So you're transitioning firearm, which is a really cool kind of special operations inspired experience, right? So
One
a lot
thing
of
was
different
really
things
cool
going on
was
out here.
seeing our trainers, Aaron and Tyler, they're building the ranges. They're in there. So there's a lot of pride. You can tell when you're standing there, you know, and we weren't just going through the motions. You know,
these aren't just some guys that just work here.
Sweat and
That's
blood
guys
equity.
that are highly trained at what they do.
Yeah.
Very, very good shooters. On top of that, they're building out these experiences.
That's right. They're hands-on.
They're very
and
hands-on.
so,
That's
you know,
incredible.
they've got vested interest. They're building these courses with pride.
Yeah.
And you see that reflected when you come out here and you spend time with them.
Yeah, we experienced that firsthand.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it also means that they have intimate knowledge of each of the courses as well.
Yeah.
You know what? Another thing that I thought was really interesting that I was talking to them about, and it just had to do with, you know, what they wanted to do with their life. And I said, you know, are you guys, especially considering how well they were shooting firearms and how on target and how quick they were, right? And so I had asked them, you know, if they thought about law enforcement and all of those kind of things. And indirectly, these guys are training and bettering law enforcement out here right now, right? So they're helping to protect law enforcement by training them and utilizing this and teaching them the safety techniques that they need to know so that they can better themselves, you know, out, you know, in our world. Like,
it's an eye-opening response to that question.
I thought that was so cool.
Because it's like, you guys are so good. Yeah, well, you know, we got to see that. We're like, hey,
maybe you want to be a SWAT guy, you know?
And once you guys come out there and like, no, it's cool to say, hey, we're standing back and offering them to be better. you know.
Yeah. Well, military and law enforcement are very near and dear to us. A lot of our leadership here, prior military or involved in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And, that leads to not only do we have the training, not only do we have the experiences you can do out here, not only do we specialize in going beyond the gun and camaraderie and team building and leadership development, but we also host events out here. So we have the National SWAT competition coming up October 9th through the 12th. And we're super excited about it. It's our inaugural year. We've got 40 of the top SWAT teams in the nation coming out here for this competition. We've got teams like Las Vegas SWAT, LA SWAT, Jacksonville SWAT, San Antonio 2023 International SWAT Champions. We've got Miami-Dade SWAT coming out. We've got FBI SWAT coming. And we're doing some incredible stuff out here. And so our SWAT competition will be different than what the other SWAT competitions they have in the United States, because we're not doing any challenges that they wouldn't potentially face in the field. So no crazy kitschy stuff for attention getting. It's all based on what they would actually interact with in the field in one form or another. In addition, we're offering an extra day of training for them. So when they come out here, they're going to get some coaching and some training from our group as well. So there's an investment back into them for coming out and participating in this competition.
And this is something that spectators can come and watch this competition, right? And you're going to give us some kind of, we'll put it in the comments below, I think, a discount for anybody who wants to come out to this event. Right?
Yeah. So we're actually calling it the Prairie Fire Experience Weekend and SWAT Competition, because there's so much more than spectating you can do when you come out. A very important part of this is coming out and supporting your local heroes, right? These are the everyday heroes putting their lives on the line for our safety. But not only that, can you spectate and watch their challenges and their stages, you can participate. So we've got we have a punch card with 6 different SWAT stages that you can actually go and shoot that SWAT stage, that challenge stage.
Oh, nice.
Really cool. But not only that, we've got a whole sponsor tent where you can come in and you can experience some of the top sponsors and shooting gear, protective gear. We've got demo bays. You can come out and demo firearms with companies like JP Enterprise, Staccato. Nice. There's so much going on out here. So you're going to come out and participate. Now, if you just want to come out,
event, do you know how many people you're expecting to come to this event?
We have an expectation of about 250 to 500 a day. That's not including the competitors. That's not including the vendors that are coming out. Fantastic. That's not including the sponsors in the demo bays. Yeah. Those are the folks that want to come out and experience the weekend with us.
Yeah.
And really for the public, it's open the 10th, 11th, and 12th. The 9th is dedicated to the SWAT teams.
Okay.
So the 10th, 11th, and 12th, we have 1-day general admission passes that are starting at only $29. Nice. We have 3-day general admission passes that start at $75. So it's very economical. There's a lot to do out here.
Yeah. Bring your family. Come out.
Absolutely.
You've got food out here, full kitchen.
That's right.
All of that.
Well, we've got J Tacos coming out to be our official food vendor.
Awesome.
You've seen him out at the Raiders games. You've seen him out at the Rebels games. Great partner of ours out here. We'll have some other food stations out as well, but they're our main partner. So
they can comfortably come out here and spend a full day or even a full weekend out here hanging out, watching these competitions.
Yeah, they can meet the officers.
Yeah.
There'll be some tinted and some air conditioned areas as well. They can experience the vendor booths. There's demo base. So there's a lot of different shooting activities and a lot of different experiences they can come out and do. There is the shooting. If you actually want to shoot the stages and you want that level of challenge, you can buy a punch card. That'll be a lot of fun for the people who actually want to do something unique and interesting.
Right. Well, October is probably some of the best weather that you're going to see in Las Vegas.
You guys know that. Right? April and October are just premier weather for us. So we're super excited about this. We're going to offer you guys a 50% discount for your listeners.
Awesome.
And so there's other things they can do as well. So if you go to swatcompetition.com, and I know we'll see that up there, get all the information so you know when it is, when it starts, where we're located, what the price categories are. We'll give you a discount code that you can put up on the screen there for your listeners. And we'd love to have them out. It's going to be a really fun event. It's going to be a very interactive event. And again, it's open to the public. You can bring the family, come support your local heroes, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what it's all about.
So we do a lot of events like that as well. You know, we do 5K runs out here. We mix it up a little bit. We did a 5K run for 4th of July, but we also did a 3K run and gun, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So I ran the 5K because I didn't, after I ran the 5K, they asked if I want to do the 3K. And I said, I'm already pooped, right? But, you run a 3K and part of the 3K runs through Gunslinger Canyon and you actually shoot during a 3K. And if you miss any targets, you have to run a penalty lap
Oh,
Yeah, there's a penalty lap set up. So
Nice.
for our 5Ks, we typically do one per quarter, if you
Okay.
will. They're run, walk, ruck. So we have a lot of folks who come out to support military that ruck with their backpacks.
Yeah.
We have folks that come out to just walk, and then we have people that are hardcore runners that come out and just destroy the course, man.
Oh, yeah.
But the course is run through all of our natural terrain. So you're going up hills, you're running through canyons, we have railroad ties that we've used for stairs to go up through the canyons. It's a very unique running course. It's nothing like any other 5K you're going to run. So keep an eye out on our website for those. Those come up usually
Awesome.
for holidays that we want to
Might
celebrate.
be an idea to get your rock and run out
That's
here.
what I know.
Right?
I'm thinking, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man.
Do a 5K out here next year.
Yeah.
They are fun.
Yeah.
So different experience, but we do host experiences out here. We'll be activating the property for year 2 of Beyond the Berm during SHOT Show. So
Okay.
we'll have 2 days of range day out here with some major activities happening. We'll get about 1,500 people a day out here on campus
Awesome.
doing some really cool stuff. So we do special events out here as well, on top of all the other stuff we're doing. And you can find all that on our website, PrairieFire.com.
Yeah, we'll put all of that stuff down in the comments below as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
man. Can't wait to get back out here and do more.
Yeah, man. I'm booking my daughter, get her in here for some training too. So
Yeah.
her and her boyfriend. So I'm gonna get that done. And then I'm gonna get my butt out here too and get some more training on.
Sounds like we got 2 new members signing
Yeah,
up.
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
So we are open to the public. I didn't mention
Yeah.
that. Public can come
Yeah.
out. Anybody's welcome on campus. You can go to our website, book courses. You can come out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you want a tour of the facility, we'll give you a tour.
Great.
You just come out to the Welcome Center and let them know. But we also have a membership program.
Yeah. Well, talk to us a little bit about how the
Yeah.
membership program
So
works.
we just revamped our membership program last week, and we have 3 tiers of membership. And so memberships start at just $19 a month. They go up from there. But the different benefits you can see online, there's completely different benefits depending on the tier you want to join at.
Yeah.
You get access to a lot of stuff that's unique to just members. So stuff that the public doesn't have access to in special events. Get very good discounts on firearms, on ammunition, on your training courses, on your experiences. Some of the membership tiers come with friend passes, so you can bring a friend with you, bring a guest with you. It includes some of the member-only competitions that we do out here. So we just revamped it, like I said. And so if your viewers get a chance and they're interested in membership, they can go on our website and look at that as well. But I do want to state we are open to the public. You do not have to be a member to come out here. And as a matter of fact, we market heavily to the tourist corridor.
So member is just for perks then.
That's correct. It's for
Right.
perks, discounts, and access to things that the public doesn't have access
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
And you get some other perks, like where our sister company Staccato has Staccato Ranch in Texas. And so our premier level membership has benefits that transfer across both.
Okay.
So
And
there's
those were
some
the
other
guns we were
benefits
shooting,
as well. That's
Yeah,
correct.
Staccatos,
We were shooting
1911.
Staccatos.
Well, they were
Yeah.
like a 1911, but it wasn't a 1911, right?
They're 2011s.
Okay.
So Staccato 2011, slightly different, but
Smooth.
they are premier firearms. For folks that understand the firearm industry, they'll know Staccato. They're
Oh yeah,
they're
yeah,
premier.
It's, an elite firearm.
that's-
What did those run? Probably $2,500 for a gun like
30
that,
for
right?
the
45.
entry level.
Yeah. Okay.
I was looking in the
Yeah.
in the Welcome Center. You
Yeah.
guys have them for sale.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are some strong price tags.
Well,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
they're up there in the
They're
upper
elite.
echelon, and that that's
Yeah.
one of our unique selling propositions here.
Mhm.
A lot of the gun ranges or firing experiences, places you go to, start you off with the basic level, and then you got to pay to move up if you want premier or you want luxury level firearms. Here we start with those.
Nice.
So everything you do here, you come out and you shoot Staccato, you shoot JP Enterprise, you shoot the best of the best, and there's no upcharge for that. We just want that experience for you. Want that upper tier experience.
Well, the customer level experience too is second to none with your team out here too. You know, I mean, everybody is just so helpful, so on top of things,
friendly.
friendly. Yeah.
And you mentioned
Getting you
that
covered.
if you want to test out a firearm, you can test it out, and then if you want to keep that money goes towards buying the gun.
That's right. So you can come out and you can shoot a Staccato for $50.
Mhm.
Check it out. See if you like it. If you like it and you buy it, that $50 goes towards the purchase of the firearm. If you don't, no harm, no foul. You
Yeah.
paid $50 to shoot a really badass Staccato. So,
Right.
no harm, no foul on that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I hear something about potentially creating some kind of festival ground too.
Yeah, we're a little ways off from that.
Yeah.
Not a lot to talk about that yet, but we have the space for it. 550 acres.
Yeah.
We're not done getting innovative with our product offerings out here. Nate Horvath is our CEO. He actually came from Staccato. He was the CEO of Staccato.
Okay.
He's still heavily involved with Staccato, but he's our CEO out here. He's changing a lot of things up. We're coming up with some new programs, which you heard about the shoot from the buggy, which we'll have here shortly.
Yeah.
There's some other things we're talking about, like potentially shoot from helicopter and a few other things.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we're not done. We're
You
creating
guys
some
are
really cool
innovative.
experiences. That's what we're trying to do out here.
Yeah.
It's why they're on the Ain't Done podcast.
Yeah, they ain't done.
They
Listen,
ain't done yet.
It's really what attracted me. This was so outside of what I know in terms of a product, right?
Yeah.
Now I know firearms, prior military, I've shot firearms. I'm a supporter, but I'm not a range guy. I don't have a membership anywhere. I do it at Prairie Fire, but before that I didn't. And when these guys approached me, it was through sheer coincidence, almost, if you will. I had left the financial industry. I was running my own marketing business, and I had a friend of mine call me who was in the hospitality industry for years, and he said, "Hey, I'm doing some work out at Prairie Fire." And I said, "Prairie, what?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, here's the story of what I'm doing out there. I'm consulting for them, but I'm starting full time.
Yeah.
I really believe in what they're doing. I want you to come talk to these guys because they need some marketing help, and I think you're the right guy." I said, "Well, I'm definitely interested in coming. Listen, I always want to learn more about what the product is before I say yes or no to anything."
Right.
Yeah.
So I came out here, and the first person I met with was 4-star retired General Scott Miller, American hero, 38 years in the Army, commander of Delta Force. Just the accolades and what this man has done for our country.
Thanks for your service on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen. For me, he's an American hero. And a lot of these guys that are special operations and special forces, they're very subdued and very controlled. But for me, it was such an honor to come out here and meet with him one-on-one in this room. As a matter of fact, we sat down in here and he told me the vision for what they were doing out here. And he told me what they stand for and our why. Our why, and you saw it in the brand book, is the love of America. And that is not a political statement. I don't want it to be one. He doesn't want it to be
I
one.
could never understand why people think that like having American flag in front of your house is a political standpoint. That's not a political standpoint at all.
I don't think so. I think it's a little bit of a stigma, almost like, ooh, gun, ooh. And then you come out here and you're like, that was so satisfying. I've accomplished something. I feel safe. I feel comfortable and confident. I feel like a better version of myself. I've accomplished something. And it's not this scary, ooh, why did you shoot a gun kind of attitude, right?
Right.
When you experience it, you know it. And I think maybe it's a similar thing with the flag, maybe, right? I don't know if it's just a stigma, but you know, when people ask General Miller what political party he belongs to, his answer is America.
Yeah.
He believes in America. And I love that.
It's a great answer.
And we are not political out here. We don't swing one way or the other. That's not what we're about out here, but we are about American values. We are about the love of America, believing in the values that built this great country and incorporating those values into what we do out here. And again, it's not political at all. And we don't mean for it to be. But sitting with him, coming out here and hearing what he had to say about it, I was so intrigued. I thought, man, I could be a part of this. I love the outdoors. I've been in a suit most of my career, right?
Right.
You guys see today what I'm wearing. This is my work uniform right here, boys.
Yeah.
For the last 15, 18 years, I've only seen you in a suit when I've seen you.
Yeah, well,
Right.
it got a little more relaxed at Virgin because Sir Richard's pretty cool about what he lets you wear.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it was still a vest with a button-up shirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
And dress shoes. And
Right.
But, you know, I was so intrigued and I thought this is something I can get behind. This is something I can believe in.
Yeah.
And when I get behind something and I believe in it, I get so passionate about it, I can't help but market it. Do what I do best, right? Where can I contribute? And in my world, that's marketing and advertising. And so when you believe in your product or service, you can get behind it and you get passionate about it. And it's easy to pitch and it's easy to sell. That's how I feel about this place. So it was an interesting path getting out here, but it is part of hospitality as well. We do market to
It still
Las
fits
Vegas
in the
traveler.
realm of what you've been doing, man.
It does. It's a form of entertainment. It really is. We offer entertainment. Now we offer serious training as well and competitions, but
that's
we're
still entertainment. Even when you're getting trained out here, it's still entertaining. I still had a great time.
It
I didn't
is.
feel like it was work.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just a blast. Like, like
well,
let's
that's
go
a
on to the
tribute
next.
to the staff here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
The staff
good
is
people.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Very exceptional.
Yeah.
And they make everybody feel that way when they leave.
Well, and I saw one of the guys, Ben Tang, I think, was listed on the on one of the courses, and we drove through the course, and I think it took us a couple of minutes to drive through the course, and Ben Tang's time on the course, I think, was 50 seconds.
Yeah.
And there's 27 targets, 3 positions to shoot
gotta
from.
run to
you have to
them.
run from one to the next to shoot 27 positions.
Yeah.
Okay. And he did that in 50 seconds.
He's talented. He's quite the firearms expert here.
He's
He's one of our coaches.
Yeah.
Very proud to have him as one of our coaches. But he's just an exceptional shooter as well. I mean, he's really good. He's a no nonsense kind of business kind of guy, right? He's very analytical, super smart, carries himself very well. He's great with people when he's out here doing what we did today with our customers. But man, can he shoot?
Yeah, I think he was a gold.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, who we worked with today, was silver, and Aaron was bronze.
Yeah.
So, and they both had exceptional times too. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I think
some incredible people out here teaching.
I think my fastest run on that course is just under 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
I'd be 10.
Well, Chad, you were out there
148
just knocking them down, man. You know,
until I was up against the
slouch.
coaches and I was getting too excited. I really wanted to do well. But I can shoot.
They could be intimidating.
I'm not on their level, but you know,
they're out there shooting one hand in it, man.
Yeah, I pretend well.
Nice. You guys have such a immense team of people out here just making this.
They're great
place
people. That's part of
something.
what I love being out here too.
Do you think PrairieFire will ever have a competition team to go to other competitions?
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
We've talked about putting a team together. There's a lot that goes into that. We have competitive shooters on staff that go out, like Lanny Barnes is a competitive shooter. As you heard, I told you a little bit of her accolades.
Right.
Frank Chenault, who is our world record holder in the 1 mile shot and our 1 mile coach, he participates in competition. We have a few other folks that participate in competition, and we've been throwing around the idea of putting together a Prairie Fire team.
Yeah.
We have for some not official, real serious competitions. We've sent teams out like you would for a golf tournament. You know, you send a team out for that,
right?
But not an official team that travels yet. We've been kicking that around a little bit.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah,
that would be really cool to see.
Yeah,
for sure.
Again, Chad, thank you so much for having us here, coming out here. This is the first time we've been able to be on location, and no better place than this amazing 550 acre facility.
Yeah,
I love it.
Definitely make sure everybody gets down here and just checks out this experience. If you're, whether you're into guns or not into guns, by the time you get out of this place, you'll be into guns and into the sport. It's an incredible place out here, and it'll teach you a lot.
I think it'll open your eyes up to maybe some things that you thought you knew about firearms that when you come out here and you experience it in the fashion that we coach it and the experiences we offer, I think it could change your perception. Or if you're into firearms, you're going to realize that there's something real special out here that you really can't find anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
And we're just starting, guys. We've been open 1.5 years. We've got a long way to go. We have some new stuff we're building.
Constant construction is going on in this place.
You saw the big trucks moving
more and more.
Yeah, we're working hard. We really are.
Yeah.
And with the SWAT competition coming up, there's a lot of cool stuff we're building for that will stay afterwards as well. So
what are the plans on the, we saw the renderings of that beautiful facade building. Is that like the
clubhouse?
Right? Is that like this is where we're this is our goal? Or is that something that, hey, this is happening?
Yeah,
and we're breaking ground.
That's part of what we're working on.
Yeah.
We've already done quite a bit of work on it. We're planning on having that construction starting in 2025.
Okay.
Because it's interesting the way we sit on between Nye County and Clark County to get some construction things done. There have been some obstacles that we've been able
That's ticklish for sure. Yeah,
get through. But
I've been through that.
That creates a little bit of some obstacles for us. Nothing we can't overcome, but and we want to do it the right way. We want to be good community partners as well. So we're working through some of those things, but that's set us back just a tad bit. But that's 100% part of our plans here to build a 50,000 square foot clubhouse, tri-level. We're planning on having a restaurant in there, members lounge, gunsmith shop, lockers, locker rooms. You saw the renderings, 3 stories high with outdoor patios with fire pits built on the cliff overlooking the entire campus.
We'll smash that commercial back here at the end of the podcast too.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So
it's exciting. Let alone Prairie Fire is great, but I also feel that they're very lucky to have a phenom like you representing the company.
You're being kind.
Yeah,
I'm
for
privileged
sure,
to be here.
Yeah.
To work with these American heroes and some of all the folks we have here has been pretty spectacular. And I got to give kudos to my marketing team because we're lean, but we're strong. And we have some real talent. You met Taylor today, our creative director. Shannon on the digital side is doing some amazing things. We're getting ready to launch a brand new CRM system. We're getting ready to launch a brand new website in November, which will be the state-of-the-art website in the firearms industry. I am super excited to launch that. So we've got a
lot of good things.
You guys met Tim earlier, helping set up in here, our videographer, photographer.
Yeah, appreciate
we got a great
help too.
Just these teams that are out here are spectacular, and I'm honored and privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah,
thank you for the compliment, but
really?
Sure.
I think their backs might hurt carrying me around a little bit.
Well, did you slap him with your usual end of podcast question the last time? Or do you have a new one you can give him?
Man,
not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know, right? A new one. We did ask last time, but what would you? I guess. Oh, so you've been through so many. How did you become so adaptable? How are you able to go from Virgin to finance to Prairie Fire? And be able to just smoothly transition. And what do you think people saw in you to say, hey, I know the guy?
That's a great question.
Yeah. What do you know about yourself?
Well, I've thought about this before, and it's come up in different, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I'm very, very honored and blessed to get asked to speak at events and stuff like that. And I get asked a lot of questions about how did an Army guy get to CMO of a casino? I get asked a lot of questions, coming up, what were the key things you did to get to where you're at, stuff like that. But to answer your question, how have I been flexible? Number one, I think it has a little bit to do with my childhood. I wouldn't say, I want to give credit to my parents for things they did right. But there were things that happened in my childhood that were not good. And by no means do I need sympathy from anybody. We've all had our trials and tribulations.
What creates us.
I had some pretty rough ones. I think at a very early age, I decided I wanted to take a different path and do my life different and change generations moving forward. And again, not a knock to my parents or anything like that. It is what it is.
They all do the best they can. Right?
Yeah.
We'll call it that.
Yeah, sure.
But I think I made some decisions that were different in my family. And, to give you an example, I'm the first in my immediate family to graduate high school. I'm the first in my immediate family to go to college. I'm the first in my immediate family, other than my father, to join the military.
Mm-hmm.
And so I chose to do things different.
Yeah.
And when you grow up with some challenges in your life, like I had, and like many folks have had, all different scenarios for everybody, you have to choose to do things different and not fall into the same victim mentality of, well, that's how it was for me, so that's how it's going to be for me from now on. I chose not to do that very intentionally at a very young age. And I can't tell you exactly when it was. It was somewhere around junior high and high school. And I chose to be completely different than the path that I was on. The other thing is, I think it's a little bit about the career that I chose. And I chose marketing very early on. About the age of about 18, 19 years old, I decided I want to be in advertising and marketing. You guys heard in the last show, that's really when I got involved with the Review Journal. And I was like, man, I like this stuff.
Yeah.
And realized I'm going to school for this. I'm going to go in the Army and get some money for this and really maximize this. In advertising and marketing, which you both know, and probably in your industry as well, in the entertainment industry, you have to have what I've called for a long time a Gumby attitude, because our day-to-day changes constantly. You can come in with your whole itinerary of what you need to accomplish for the day, and 10 minutes into what you're doing, it all changes.
Yeah.
It changes constantly in advertising and marketing. You guys know, now there's other jobs that are similar to that, but finance never changes. You're following GAP guidelines. You're doing the same thing, right? A lot of the operation stuff.
I tried to carry a schedule for many years, and it'd get frustrated because I'd get in to get my schedule done, and focused on that, and everything would be different than what I thought it was going to be that day. So I stopped carrying on that schedule. I said, well, I have scheduled appointments here and there with clients and whatnot, but I'm very flexible and I can just change on a dime. We're doing this.
You have to be. You have to be.
You have to be in marketing. Yeah.
Your website's going to change. The product offering is going to change.
Oh yeah.
Overnight. Right? Everything changes when you come in the next day. And if you don't have the attitude where you can handle that change, marketing and advertising is not for you. It's not the right industry to be in.
Yeah.
And I found I've been able to thrive because I've been able to be flexible and brush stuff off easily and say, yeah, no problem. Gumby attitude. Now, a lot of the younger generation give me blank eyes when I say that because they don't know who Gumby is.
Yeah.
But you guys know Gumby was that.
He might not know.
character.
I know Gumby.
All right.
Yeah.
So I use that. I use that a little bit in my
Yogi.
leadership career with some of my younger team members, and I got a lot of blank stares. But
Gumby?
being flexible, man, and I
Yeah.
think because of the ability to adjust quickly without having a bad attitude about it, has allowed me to move different industries. I always thought if you're passionate about the work you do, you could probably do that work for any industry with some caveats, right? You got to learn the industry.
Right.
But I feel like I can do advertising and marketing in any industry. I could do it for a car company. I can do it for a computer company. I can do it for a shooting company. I can do it for a casino company.
Yeah.
I can do it for a finance company. I can do it for an arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to learn the product.
Yeah.
Right? I gotta know the
I could see you A&Ring a music group, you know, like, or understand the artist. So say, hey, look, this is how you're going to sell, you know, this is what you need.
I mean,
to
at
do.
the end of the day, that
I can see
music
that.
group is the product, right?
Yeah,
It's
you got to learn the
product.
product.
Right.
Yeah.
Understand the product.
The fundamentals of marketing are the fundamentals of marketing. Now, some tactics work, and I learned this the hard way. Some tactics work in some industries and completely don't in others. And I've failed and learned from that failure.
Right.
But the fundamentals are the fundamentals. And not that I've mastered them because I keep going back. I listen to books on the way, audio books on the way out here all the time. And I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always trying to learn more.
Yeah.
But if you understand the fundamentals really well, you can apply those fundamentals once you learn the business and the nuances of the business anywhere. And that's allowed me to be flexible enough to where other people have seen and said, hey man, if he was able to do that, what can you do for us? I hope that's the attitude anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to be a contributor. I'm not showing up and putting my feet on the coffee table, although my foot's been on the coffee table here. Just holding myself up in these big, comfortable couches. I want to contribute. I want to make a difference. And I want to equally give what is reinvested back into me.
Yeah.
Right. I think we might've talked about this on the last show a little bit, managing your time and all of that.
Yeah.
But I think, you have we talked about the 3 categories of work you have, priorities when you come in, the have to do, that needs to be done, but not right now, and the fun to do, but nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well, there's a portion of marketing and advertising, and maybe even the trade show industry and the entertainment industry where I know there's 2 or 3 things I'm going to have to do when I come in. The other 10 that I thought I was going to do all changed by the time I got here. Right. And you got to be flexible and open to that and have a good attitude about it. So that's okay. I can pivot. No problem at all.
Mhm.
What direction you want to go in? All right, let me go back and figure that out right now. I'll come back with a great product for you or whatever the case may be. Right. So I've tried to have a good attitude. You can't train attitude. I don't care how hard you try. You cannot train attitude. You either have a good one or you don't. And by the way, an attitude I firmly believe is chosen. I woke up one day, if you look on my LinkedIn page, I woke up one day, my wife was traveling. I had a horrible day the day before. I had a horrible night's sleep. I was missing my wife. The house was empty. I was just woke up crabby as all crabby. And I thought to myself, I got up and I said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to change my attitude. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to make sure that every person I interact with today leaves feeling better after they saw me than they did before they saw me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that on purpose. And I looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to have it. And listen, I was driving to work and I'd start, what you cut? Nope. I'm not going to have a bad attitude. They cut me off. That's all right, man. You're in a bigger hurry than I am. You got to get to work. No problem. I reminded myself over and over. Every time I started feeling cranky, I would go, no, Chad, you're going to have a good attitude today. So I faked it for a little bit. And I kid you not, by about 11 o'clock in the morning, I was in a great mood.
You chose it.
Smiling, talking to everybody, high-fiving the people I'm walking through the casino.
Yeah.
You choose it, man.
Yeah.
And if you choose to have a good attitude, people see that in you and it's viral. I really believe that it's viral.
It's viral, especially in the company too, because everybody that's working around you, you're going to develop that attitude with them. Yeah. If you're in a good mood and they're in a good mood, everybody's going to be in a good mood. Yeah. But if you walk in crabby, you can turn somebody who is in a great mood into a crab apple.
Yeah, both ways are viral, right? I just want to be the positive side.
Exactly.
And a lot of times in my hiring practice, I try to look for attitude. I can train you how to do a particular task. Can't train you to have a good attitude. If you naturally have a good attitude, you're probably going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, and everybody has a certain energy level, right? You walk in with an energy level every day into work, and you can spend that energy on being pissed off about something, or you can spend that energy on bettering yourself, bettering the company, which in turn, if you're bettering the company has pretty much is going to look back and say, who bettered the company? Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
We need to better that guy. We got to keep that guy here. Give that guy more money.
Yes.
Right. which he can then better himself. So the more you do for the companies that you work for, they're going to notice those things and they're going to reward you for that because they want to keep you around.
Yeah. And that's the equality of compensation. And I don't mean compensation like what I get paid. I mean, what do I give? What do I get in return?
Right.
And if there's equality there, we're gonna succeed if it's positive, right? You don't want both being low.
Right. Right.
But you want to give a lot and push hard and do good things because then good things can come back to you. And if they do, you get that equality there and it's motivating.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And so it's a very long answer to your question, but I really think that's what it comes down to. And I've chosen those things to try to have a good attitude. I could always do better. And every day I try a little harder.
Yeah.
Some days are better than others, obviously, but for the most part, I try to have a good attitude. And I try to learn from a young age of, I don't know if I talked about this on the last show. So if I did, apologize for the saying it again, but I started right around the same time I decided I wanted to do things different. I can't remember the exact day it was, but I also started right around that time keeping a mental notebook in my head. When I say a notebook, I mean a literal, I write in my brain on both sides, right? And this notebook it's been very important to me and I've been using it for a long, long time. And it's when I'm in a position where there's somebody of authority, could be a parent, could be a leader, could be a supervisor, could be whatever it is. And I see them do something really well. And I see the outcome and the consequences of them doing that well. I make a note in my mental notebook and I physically in my brain see myself writing it out on a piece of paper. But when I see somebody do something, I'm like, wow, that was horrible. Look at the consequences of what they did. I'm thinking this. I'm not saying it out loud.
Right.
I make a mental note. When you get to that level, when you're the decision maker, when you have that authority, remember what you just saw and make a different decision. And I write that down in my brain. I'm not kidding. I don't have a photographic memory. I don't mean that, but this notebook I've been keeping in my brain for quite a while now. I did it with my father. He's got notes on both sides. I did it with my military leaders who did some things. And I thought, when I get to your rank, I'm going to make a different decision. Or when I get to your rank, I'm going to remember that because that was
I hope I can
amazing.
do it just like that.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I've done it with corporate leadership. And so that's another part of that part that I incorporated at a very young age where I said, I'm going to do it different. And I don't think people recognize that mental notebook, but I think they recognize that I try to take the good things and emulate that and take the bad things and remind myself, please, Chad, don't make that mistake because it's easy to do. When you get into a position of authority and you say, I would have never done that. It's funny how money and authority can change you, right?
Right.
So I always try to remind myself over and over as I've gotten to certain accomplishments in my life that I set for myself, try not to let it change what you thought you would do then, right? If you thought it was bad then, don't let these things manipulate you to then think it's the right decision now because look at me now, right? I try really hard to do that. Again, not perfect. I could always do better, but that's an important part of what I incorporate into changing these types of career paths, right?
That's another great point too, is that you're always trying to better yourself, right? You're not done yet. You know, what can I do to be better at the next job that I'm doing or next job or the next phase in the company that I'm working for to just have better experience from where you're at.
Trying, man. It doesn't always work out the way I want, but
hey, you know what?
Trying.
And we learned from those experiences too. We were talking about it last night on our podcast that, sometimes the things that you did completely wrong are the best things that could have happened to you because you realized
you learned.
I learned from that.
And sometimes you have to make those mistakes to learn that.
Without a doubt.
It goes to how you raise kids, right? You don't want to make any permanent mistakes.
Mhm.
That's what I always thought. When my daughter went to college, I was like, please don't make any permanent mistakes, but make mistakes.
Yeah.
Nothing permanent though, please.
Yeah.
But if you don't make those mistakes, you can learn from other people's mistakes.
Mhm.
It's sometimes better, but a life mistake, you learn forever. I mean, you get ingrained as long as it's not a permanent mistake. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think you know what I mean by that.
100%. Yeah.
I think mistakes are important. And I always thought if you weren't making mistakes, you weren't trying new things either.
That's the thing is there's so much, there's so many things that I do in my business and businesses that I've had and some businesses that have failed and some that have been greatly successful, and all kinds of things that are in between. But I never would have got there if I didn't try to do it, number one, if I didn't take the risk, number two, which a lot of people aren't willing to do. A lot of people aren't willing to take the risk. My dad, he's a lot like you are actually, Chad. He's like, very determined and, he was, recruiter of the United States of America in 1988. And that's a hard accomplishment.
Yeah.
There's only one person that can be that guy, and he was that guy in 1988. But at the same time, he also wasn't willing to take risks, right? He had a family and 2 kids, and he's like, you know what? I could go and try that, and I could make a lot of money doing that, but I don't want to take the risk in that. I know that if I just put my money in the bank here, I'm going to get that 3% is going to get back out of that, and I'm going to be able to take care of my family, and everything's going to be cool.
Man, I can appreciate that. I've got a yin yang wife. I think I said this in the last show. She keeps my life exciting, and I keep her out of jail. And so I am completely the non-risk taker and the rule follower, and she's completely the risk taker and the non-rule follower. So we balance each other out. So she gets me involved in things that I would have said, no, I'll take the 3%.
Right.
So
see, I'm the 11% guy. Melissa's the 3%.
That's good balance, man. It's good balance.
We have that same yin yang going. Yeah, for sure.
Well, again, Chad, thank you for having us, man. It's been a pleasure now talking to you numerous times. I'm like, we got to have you back again, man.
I'd love to. I love sitting down and talking with you guys, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig deep into the Virgin stuff.
There's a lot to talk about there. It was great stuff. I am so passionate about that property. Very passionate about where I'm at right now too, as I hope that came across on your show. But
definitely.
Lots to talk about. Virgin stuff I can't talk about, right? Trade secrets and stuff I can't, but you know that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I probably overshared on this podcast. That's what I do.
Well, we'll find out soon.
I'll get a phone call.
You might getting that phone call. Well, right on, man. Well, thanks again. And thanks for having us here.
Thanks for coming out.
Greatly appreciated.
It means a lot that you guys came out and experienced it too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it makes all the difference in the world to be able to sit down and talk about it. So thank you for coming out. I really mean
for
that.
sure. Thanks,
Happy to host you guys today.
Right
Thank you,
on.
guys.
Cool.
Prairie Fire.